All right, and good morning, and welcome to Tuesday, October the 5th. And we are on to part two, actually, today of the little section called Master Teacher, as we've begun our look together at the Sermon on the Mount and living the Sermon on the Mount. And so yesterday was also Master Teacher. That was the title of it. And the devotion was by E. Stanley Jones. Today is the same heading. This is technically part two of yesterday's devotion. This one is by Henry Nouwen, or Henry Henri Nouwen, if you probably his proper pronunciation. But hey, I'm American, so I probably don't pronounce it properly. So again, this is just the beginning thoughts of the Sermon on the Mount, kind of overview thoughts. E. Stanley Jones yesterday focused on that, and Henry Nouwen today. The whole message, I love this opening line. It's ever since I looked at it a couple days ago, I've just been dwelling on it. The whole message of the gospel is this: become like Jesus. Become like Jesus. Simple and yet so profound, so powerful. We have his self-portrait. When we keep that in front of our eyes, we will soon learn what it means to follow Jesus and become like him. Jesus, the blessed one, is poor. The poverty of Jesus is much more than an economic or social poverty. Jesus is poor because he freely chose powerlessness over power. Jesus is poor because he chose vulnerability over defensiveness. He chose dependency over self-sufficiency. As the great song of Christ is what Henry Nouwen calls it, so beautifully expresses, he did not count equality with God something to be grasped, but he emptied himself, becoming as human beings are, from what he refers to as that song of Christ in Philippians chapter 2. This is the poverty of spirit that Jesus chose to live. Jesus calls us who are blessed as he is to live our lives with that same poverty. Jesus, the blessed one, is gentle, even though he speaks with great fervor and biting criticism against all forms of hypocrisy, and is not afraid to attack deception, vanity, manipulation, and oppression. His heart is a gentle heart. He won't break the crushed reed or snuff the faltering wick. He responds to people's suffering, heals their wounds, and offers courage to the faint-hearted. Jesus, the blessed one, mourns. Jesus mourns when his friend Lazarus dies. He mourns when he overlooks the city of Jerusalem, soon to be destroyed. Jesus mourns over all losses and devastations that fill the human heart with pain. He grieves with those who grieve and sheds tears with those who cry. The violence, greed, lust, and so many other evils that have distorted the face of the earth and its people because the beloved Son of God caused, I should say, the beloved Son of God to mourn. We too must mourn if we hope to experience God's consolation. Jesus, the blessed Son of God, hungers and thirsts for uprightness. He abhors injustice. He resists those who try to gather wealth and influence by oppression and exploitation. His whole being yearns for people to treat one another as brothers and sisters, sons and daughters of the same God. With fervor, he proclaims that the way to the kingdom is not saying many prayers or offering many sacrifices, but in feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, and visiting the sick and the prisoners. He longs for a just world. He wants us to live with the same hunger and thirst. Jesus, the blessed child of God, is merciful. Showing mercy is different from having pity. Pity connotes distance, even looking down upon. When a beggar asks for money and you give him something out of pity, you're not showing mercy. Mercy comes from a compassionate heart. It comes from a desire to be an equal. Jesus didn't want to look down on us. He wanted to become one of us and freely and feel deeply with us. Jesus, the beloved Son, has a pure heart. Having a pure heart means willing one thing. Jesus wanted only to do the will of his heavenly Father. Whatever Jesus did or said, he did and said as the obedient Son of God. What I say is what the Father has taught me. He who sent me is with me and has not left me to myself, for I always do what pleases him. John 8:28 and 29. There are no divisions in Jesus' heart, no double motives, no secret intentions. In Jesus, there is complete inner unity. Because of his complete unity with God, becoming like Jesus is growing into purity of heart. That purity is what gave Jesus and will give us true spiritual vision. Jesus, the blessed child of the Father, is a peacemaker. His peace doesn't mean only absence of war. It is not simply harmony or equilibrium. His peace is the fullness of well-being, gratuitously given by God. Jesus says, peace I leave to you, my own peace I give you, a peace which the world cannot give. This is my gift to you. John 14:27. Peace is shalom, well-being of mind, heart, and body, individually and communally. It can exist in the midst of a war-torn world, even in the midst of unresolved problems and increasing human conflicts. Jesus made that peace by giving his life for his brothers and sisters. There is no easy peace, but it is everlasting, and it comes from God. This is no easy peace. We are willing to give our lives. Are we willing to give our lives in the service of peace? Jesus, the favorite child of God, is persecuted. He who is poor, gentle, mourning. He who hungers and thirsts for uprightness, is merciful, pure of heart, and a peacemaker, is not welcome in this world. The blessed one of God is a threat to the established order and a source of constant irritation to those who consider themselves the rulers of this world. Without accusing anyone, he is considered an accuser. Without condemning anyone, he makes people feel guilty and ashamed. Without his judging anyone, those who see him feel judged. In their eyes, he cannot be tolerated and needs to be destroyed because letting him be seems like a confession of guilt. When we want to become like Jesus, we cannot expect always to be liked, to be admired. We have to be prepared to be rejected. This is the biblical perception of being a kingdom citizen. It varies greatly from what we often hear promoted today. I'm sorry, this is longer than I anticipated these to be, but I hope you're blessed by the deep thinking of men like Henry Nouwen and the challenge. Hopefully you want to be challenged, for a challenge creates freedom and it creates strength. Blessings to you today.